How surprised are you to see these two road warriors go up 2-0?
I'm more surprised with the Blue Jays, being down 2-0. So more surprised about the Mariners, especially after what they did on Friday night, expending their entire pitching staff and then having to start on Sunday. And, Bryce Miller is like the weakest link of their starting staff. So it is what it is. So the fact that they were to win game one at their weakest is very encouraging for the Mariners. And I would say I will have hope or optimism, I guess you could say, about the Blue Jays if their offense performs tonight. Them winning the game 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, I would not be encouraged by that. The fact that they're not able to get runs across the board. If they're going to win and have a chance to come back in the series, more importantly, they need to win, 5. They need to put up 5-6 runs. That would be the most encouraging thing if you're a Blue Jays backer, getting their offense going against his pitching staff.
It's scary. They're going to have to face Luis Castillo in Seattle, and he pitches much better when he's home.
Yep, and that's a big thing. A lot of people will mention that the batter's eye behind the pitchers in the outfield in Seattle is not very helpful for hitters.
There's the noise, apparently. Tarek Skubal said he couldn't hear anything.
It's not the batter's eye. The Mariners bats are used to it. They play half the season there, but seeing opposing teams go in there and always struggle is something that we've routinely seen for years.
And Mad Max also. I mean, I would be a little concerned, honestly, if I was Toronto at that point.
I think you have to be. I mean, Bieber tonight.
I'm saying like even tomorrow, like you're gonna get Shane Bieber tonight, but and then tomorrow you have Mad Max up against Castillo, and it's like, dude, tonight has to be a must win for Toronto.
The thing I'd be most concerned about Scherzer is that he hasn't pitched in so long. He wasn't on the DS roster. So I don't remember the last date that he pitched. Obviously, would be sometime in September. But we're talking about multiple weeks off at this point, right? And a lot of pitchers, I would say maybe
September 24th.
So we're talking about a good amount of time, and I would say not for him specifically, but I would say probably older pitchers. I would want to see them stay in a rhythm, just so they have some level of consistency rather than been off for 2+ weeks at this point is concerning. I want to see him come in. We know what we got from him last week. We know what we got from him the week before, but we really don't have that. So the one thing you could say is that he's rested.
The question is, how much faith do you have in Shane Bieber tonight?
Again, I don't think it comes down to Bieber. If the Blue Jays have a chance tonight, they need to get runs across the board. But when it comes to Shane Bieber specifically, what he pitched 70 some odd pitches in the last game, 60 some odd pitches. Why did you go out and acquire him if you're not willing for him to go deep into the game? He's a proven veteran. He should have a minimum of 80 pitches tonight. Doesn't matter if he gives up 2 runs, 3 runs. Let him go out there and pitch. You acquire him for a reason.
Maybe we started a trend. I was pissed about it after the Dodgers pulled Blake Snell. Like, how have we not learned when the Yankees lost after Fried and the Tigers lost after Skubal? So finally, the manager of the Dodgers, Dave Roberts, decided let's leave in Yoshinobu Yamamoto last night. So maybe tonight you'll see somebody leaving a pitcher longer than they normally would have.
There's honestly, for managers at this point, with the pushback that people, media, fans have given them, they're in a no-win situation. They really are. And that's what it comes down to. If you leave in a pitcher and he gives up runs, why didn't you take him out? And then if you take him out too early and the reliever comes in and he gives up runs, why'd you take him out? The only way is if the pitcher stays there and does well, or the reliever comes in and shuts everything down. It's almost a no-win scenario.
I was okay with the state of if you're a Dodgers fan, with the state of the Dodgers bullpen,
1,000%.
The state of the Yankees bullpen, I'm letting my starters go, and I'm going to get beat by the better pitchers because the better pitcher is the starter at that rate.
Right, and it's also circumstantial. If Bieber or Kirby gets into trouble tonight and they're at 68 pitches, don't pull him out. If he's pushing 90, he struggled through the few innings, and his pitch count is just being piled up, foul balls, what have you, and all of a sudden it's the 5th inning and he's at 90 pitches, 95, that's a different story. But if he's sitting there at 50 pitches, don't pull him out. He has gas in the tank. This isn't a fatigue thing.
Any props that you were looking at today in MLB?
None. was considering Bieber going over the strikeouts just because I think he needs to be out there. And again, looking at the bullpen was not good in game 2 for the Blue Jays. Looking back at the Yankees series, game 2, the Blue Jays won, what was it, 13-7, if I remember correctly?
The Yankees game?
Yeah, of the series. The Yankees lost game 1, 10-1. It was 10-1 and then like 13-7 in game 2. Ultimately, the point is the Blue Jays bullpen's hasn't been great. So why not just let Bieber go, even if he gives up 2-3 runs, whatever it might be? The bullpen has been the issue for them outside of the hitting.
You don't like any hit props?
None. There's 2. It's the fact that Jorge Polanco is apparently now Barry Bonds is unbelievable. And again, it's when it comes to the postseason, that's like betting these award markets in the postseason. You can just take your shots. It's not going to be Ohtani. It's not going to be Mookie Betts. It's Kike Hernandez. It's Tommy Edman. It's these random players that are stepping up and have this hot streak over 5-7 games. That's all it takes sometimes to win an award.
Let's take a look at what you like across the board, because you don't have anything in MLB, but you do have Thursday night football action already. But I guess we'll start with hockey because that's tonight. Right. So let's start with tonight. Hockey prop, shots on goal, plus money here. Why?
So Tim Stützle for the Ottawa Senators going up against the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo's been absolutely dreadful to start the season. They've always been a bad defensive team, but their offense just simply isn't getting it going. For the Senators, they lost Brady Tkachuk. He is now out for multiple weeks with a hand issue. He was arguably their best player. The other arguably best player would be Tim Stützle. Top forward line, top power play, over 2.5 shots on goal. You look at the Senators, small sample size, we're on 3-4 games into the season for these teams, but they're top 10 in the league when it comes to total shot attempts created per 60 minutes in 5v5 situations. So they're always been an offensive first type of team. So the fact that we're getting their top line center and on the power play when their offense is factually weaker without Brady Tkachuk there, someone else has to do a little bit of the heavy lifting. And to see Stützle be the guy to step up should not shock anyone. So the fact that we're getting this big of a plus money price on it has me extremely interested, combined with the fact that they're going up against the Sabres, who are simply just trying to get their first win of the season as they're 0-3 or 0-4. So it's just super straightforward. Just it's the best player on a team who's missing their best player. Let's just take him for some shots.
What other trends have you noticed early on to start this hockey season?
The Rangers can't score at home. They can't. They got shut out in game 1. They go on the road. They score 4, 5, or 6, whatever it was against the Sabres. They score another 5 or 6 versus the Penguins. Then they come home and they can't score. So that, just as a Rangers fan, that's infuriating. There hasn't been too much as of now. Looking at inefficient lines is really the thing that I like to look at. Young players stepping up. Matthew Schaefer, the number 1 pick, who's on the Islanders. He's just turned 18 at the beginning of September, and he is coming out and he's playing 20-plus minutes a night. He's scoring. He's shooting at a high volume, which is great to see. So players that shoot and their lines are, 2.5. Sometimes I like to alt them up to 4 if they're going to be getting in a game that's a 6.5 total. Bad defense on both sides, but good offenses. Those are the general trends I look for. But league-wide, there's nothing to draw from in only a week old 4 or 5 games.
How about futures, since we didn't get to those preseason, but anything that's posted that you would still tell people, hey, that has some value?
I like the Lightning to win the division, the Atlantic division. I know they're off to a bit of a slow start. I still like them. I still think they are the most balanced team, top to bottom. Nothing outside of that. It's really tough when the lines are pretty efficient, especially for the Eastern Conference with the Panthers, the Canes there. You're never going to be getting great spots. And things develop, especially at the trade deadline. There are some big names out there. So I don't like jumping in this early to the Stanley Cup / conference futures market. I always have my eye on them, but I'm never going to pull the trigger on a bet this early.
We are betting early on Thursday Night Football. Kenneth Gainwell, under 17.5 receiving yards for you. We're kind of on opposite sides, but I don't have a insane take on it. I think this is one of those toss-ups. It's a divisional rivalry. Game 1's going to happen one way, and the same thing, the opposite thing's going to happen in game 2. So you're going to hit this over in one game, and you'll probably hit the under in the other. Why is this one an under for Gainwell?
This matchup to me, and I know the Bengals are horrible defensively against running backs, either rushing or receiving. But this game to me seems as straightforward for the Steelers as possible. It's a short week. It's a divisional matchup, like you said. Get in, get out, get the win, and move on. And when we're looking at Gainwell, we have to take into context what he has done And everyone's going to look back at his game log and look at his average on the season of receiving yards per game. And talking about his receiving yards per game this season, when it's phrased that way, or what he's done recently, I think is incorrect. And anyone who tells you Gainwell on his season average is averaging X is incorrect. The correct way to phrase it is in the 4 games that Gainwell and Jaylen Warren have played together, what is his receiving average? Because in the 4 games that he's played together, that is different than what he's done on the entire season. He got the start when they were over in Dublin, and he had 35 receiving yards. In the 4 other games that they've played together, he has posted 4, 16, 10, and 14 receiving yards in those 4 games. He is not playing a big role when they play in the same game together. He does not have a high target share when they play in the same game together. You can't look at the entire season. We have to isolate the game that he played and saw 19 carries and 6 receptions when Warren was not active. So seeing 35 boosts up his season average, but it's what is his season average when Warren is active and playing? That is the most important thing. And when we look to Cincinnati overall, right now, Cincinnati, they are 27th in the league in EPA per rush. So they're horrible on the ground. We know this. Again, get in, get out, get the win. Simple. If you were to tell me that Rodgers falls under his passing yards prop, I'm not going to be surprised. And it's not because he plays badly. It's just because they don't need him to pass, where they just control the game. The defense helps.
So bad against the pass, though.
They are, but so he could easily go over that. But they're also horrible against the run, the Bengals. We saw this a couple of weeks ago with the Denver Monday night game, and Harvey and Dobbins were running all over them. Gainwell, from a rushing perspective, far more interesting to me. If they just get in and they both rush for 60-plus yards, Warren doing most of it, and they just come away with the win and they win by 10 points, that shouldn't shock anyone. But him needing to play a big role in the passing offense, that would surprise me.
I'm going to tell you my take on the running backs because we both have differing opinions, so I want to duke it out. The Steelers running back room, when we saw Najee Harris with Jaylen Warren, the last 2 years against the Bengals, Mike Tomlin had Jaylen Warren more in the passing game and Najee Harris more on the ground against Cincinnati. Now Najee Harris is gone on the IR, but also in LA. But then you have Jaylen Warren as RB1 now. So is Jaylen Warren going to pick up more of the snaps on the ground this time? And now you throw Gainwell in the mix in the passing game in replace of Jaylen Warren, or is Jaylen Warren just going off and going to have a massive game on the ground and in the air?
I think it's the latter, where Jaylen Warren will just be good because he's good, but Gainwell just doesn't play a big role in the passing game to begin with.
Right.
So, and they also mixed in.
It's a little fishy that this number is 17.5.
No, because his season
number.
average is 8. Season average is 15.5, 16, whatever it is. So to see it right.
Yeah, but again, it's just that one game.
But that's what I'm saying. The one game is boosting it up. So the other games, his season average is 11 outside of that game. So to see it this high is wrong. Why would we be betting into a number when he's averaging 11 receiving yards per game outside of the Minnesota game when they were in Dublin, and his line's at 17 or 18? Why would we be betting over for him to essentially double his season average? You need to get to 20 yards to feel comfortable over 18.5, and his season average is 11. So I know Calvin Austin is out, but they've been mixing in the 3 different tight ends, the rookie Caleb, the rookie running back Caleb, I forget his name, seeing some snaps. But if this is a straightforward game, run the ball with them, and they won't have to pass it.
You think that they could cover 5.5?
I think they could cover 9.5. Wow. Cincinnati's terrible.
I know.
Am I going to be shocked based on how things have gone?
We just don't have enough info on Joe Flacco as a Bengal yet. We have one game.
Right, but it's not like he's going to be operating it any differently. The rush from the Steelers should be a pass rush, should be able to get there. Now, if you were to tell me this game ends 20-17 and it's absolutely disgusting and the Steelers win and they don't cover, am I going to be shocked? No, it's a Thursday night game, divisional especially, weird things can happen. But Joe Flacco is a statue back there. We should be seeing multiple. TJ Watt's name should be.
And Mike Gesicki just got put on the IR, so now, he got put on the IR, so now you're going to have Noah Fant. So again, we don't have enough sample size for knowing, and I'm pretty sure that the Steelers have done very well against 11 personnel this year.
I would have to look that up, but it sounds like not a surprise to me. So just to see again, TJ Watt's name is going to be, they're going to say his name like every other snap, every other drive about him making a play, causing pressure. Joe Flacco doesn't move in the pocket. He's wearing, lead boots back there, can barely move. I'd be more interested in taking unders on T. Higgins, unders on not Jamar Chase, but Chase Brown, just because they're not gonna move the ball, they're not gonna score.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And even though I was in the newsletter talking about T. Higgins, the way that the Steelers defense is, T. Higgins matches up really well against their defense just because of, and I have to get the exact, I'll tell you exactly what I wrote earlier today in the newsletter. So whenever the Bengals, first of all, he's their primary target when facing, that's what it was. When facing man coverage, Higgins is their primary target. He's used 32% of the time, fourth highest in the NFL. And the Steelers love using man coverage, but they're really good in man coverage. So it's more about receptions than yardage for T. Higgins. If there was anybody tomorrow, then it seems like T. Higgins is the guy to try to get maybe some of those receptions. And it's a high number at 4.5 for a quarterback he's only in his second week with. But I feel like if there's any receiver tomorrow that's going to get receptions, it's going to be T. Higgins.
So Chase's number is, what's his reception prop at? It's at 6.5 as usual. Yeah, I mean, I would almost be more interested in fancy yards than anything else. Just hopefully a buy low spot at 28 if he has to be utilized. We know the defense is going to, mind their P's and Q's to try and eliminate Chase and Higgins as much as possible. And maybe that would just lead to Fan having a slightly easier path. Not saying it's going to be an easy one.
Is there a running back that could save the run game?
No, not the Bengals' offensive line is terrible. What's it right now? For the Bengals' offensive line for yards before carry, they're 27th in the league, and their run block win rate is 20th. And their pressure rate allowed is 28th. They are terrible.
Mark has a question for you, Tom. This is crazy. Do you like Cleveland
over Miami for a survivor?
He's crazy.
I would want to know what teams you have used before, in the weeks obviously leading up, to the fact that you're still live at this point. You ducked the Cardinals a couple of weeks ago. You got past that. You ducked the Packers against the Browns in week 3. I honestly don't hate the Bears at home. I know that might be a little bit crazy, but the Bears at home versus the Saints isn't terrible. If you have the Chiefs still, the Chiefs at home versus the Raiders, I think that's totally fine. The Packers this week, if you have them and Kyler isn't playing, that's totally fine. And then I would look to the Lions at home versus the Bucs. The Lions at home versus the Bucs is an amazing matchup when you think about it. The Bucs have no one healthy on offense. We don't know if Mike Evans is going to play. Godwin's probably not going to play. Bucky's out. Emeka Buka is out. And the Lions have no one in the secondary. Like, they are bringing up 4th and 5th string guys, and they can't cover anyone. But the Bucs have no one to throw the ball to.
David brought up a good point. He said that they don't want to use the Pats on the road now that the Titans fired their coach.
Totally viable, totally reasonable. That, especially, it's also with Vrabel coming back.
Like, do we believe and I know we kind of do, but like, are we believing or buying in Tennessee because of the coach firing trend?
I think effort will be there for Tennessee. I think there will be a renewed effort. If you were to tell me the Pats win, but it's ugly and they don't cover, I think that's the most reasonable thing. Also, I would not bet Tennessee at this point. They are +7. It was +8, +7.5. So the fact that you missed it, I would not be betting the +7 unless it moves back to 7.5.
Any other lines stand out to you early this week?
The Panthers Jets is just absolutely disgusting.
That line flipped.
Yeah, that's absolutely just a disgusting amount of football. It's going to be a real telling game for the Eagles versus the Vikings because we don't know who's starting at quarterback for the Vikings, and the Eagles offense has been outgained in every game this season. They're going up against good defense who's rested. They are coming back from the international trip, but they chose to take a bye. I don't know. That's going to be a real telling game for both teams.
Tom Vecchio, catch him at Tom_Vecchio1. He's the best. He comes on here every week to break down football, baseball, hockey now. You're very busy, man, Tom. Thanks as always for coming on.
Thanks for having me.